Um, I don't think we can hear you, Mark.
Testing 1, 2, 3. One,
There we
two,
go.
three. It's on the wrong mic though.
Yeah, it's a little echoey.
Yeah, let me try the other.
I got a smoke detector in this hotel room. I just in the hotel room.
You just got to the
Just
hotel.
got here.
Other email go out. The welcome the email that you normally send out.
Yeah, I got one of them out.
Okay, cool. All right, let's
We can
see.
get people in. So
We got some people coming in. All right, we're gonna start in about another minute here. I'm just trying to. Sorry for the technical issues. Let me try this. I'm gonna switch back to the other mic. Is that better? Can you hear me now? No? Nope. All right.
sounds the
Okay.
same.
Testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
You're good. It looks like your power is. Oh, there you go.
Can't hear you, Matt. You
There
can.
you
All
go.
right. Now, when I did that, I think I messed my speaker up. All right. Wow. I switched the mic and then the speaker switched with it. How you doing, Matt?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Finally made it to Dallas.
Uh-oh, you can't. Yes,
You can hear me, right?
literally just walked in the hotel room. Yeah. Yep, I can hear you. Just walked in the hotel room, put my computer down, plugged it in, and here we are.
Flight, no issues with the flight?
Nope, no issues. Nope. I
Okay.
came out here with my nephew and I think he's trying to get in the door, but he's fine.
Tell him to go down
He
and
can
get a
figure it
key.
out.
So
There you are.
cool. There it
He
is.
has a key. He doesn't know how.
No, I was thinking if it would work through my wallet, but it
Oh,
won't.
yeah, don't work. All right. So what's up, everybody? Are we live?
We are. We are live. Already
Beautiful.
started. We're letting people in the group. We have some people in the group. So everybody's just kind of coming in. So but and hopefully we have some really bad rain going on here. It's I'm in South Florida, and Matt, you're from Cincinnati, but you're in Dallas. Are you there for a real estate event? Nice.
No, I'm
Very
actually
nice.
down here for a YouTube conference.
Oh,
So
nice.
a little different this time.
Nice. Actually, I'm supposed to be there
Yep.
next month around this time at the Seller Financing Note Conference to speak, but I'm not going to be there at that conference. I'm going to be got other things going on. So that's cool. That must be how many people show up at this conference?
About 3,500.
Yeah, that's going to be good. Very educational, informative. I'm assuming.
It's a big one.
Is it?
Yep,
Nice.
yep.
Very nice.
Educational, lots of networking, so on and so forth.
Cool.
So,
Well, let's dive in. Let's
yes,
get
sir.
right
All right,
into
well,
it.
let's get started. All right. I don't know if it's my internet or your internet. I'm, I don't know. Yeah, it's something, but we're good. All right, guys. Well, if you guys don't know who Mark is someone that is so experienced in real estate, it's insane. I'm 30 years old. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm 32 years old. He's been doing this for 30 years. So I was 2 years old. I was 2 years old when he started this. Like, that's insane. So he's seen it all. I mean, he's seen how many market cycles have you seen?
Oh boy. Let's see. Um, God, I've 97. No, when you're probably born. 97 was a big one, where the rates jumped up. 9/11 was another one where we had 10 months, everything was sitting still. We had a little one in 2003, then it went crazy in 2005 to 2007, 8, then we had the collapse. And I mean, I've seen it all. In 2017, we had another little slowdown there. So it's just you just got to know how to adapt and shift during these market cycles. So yeah, so I like it, kind of quite frankly. You just that's when the opportunities happen. Like right now, there's great opportunities in this market. As we see the numbers and different market by market. So I enjoy it. I started out, as you guys know, I started out in Vermont. at the age of 19, I did my first deal, but I really got into it at the age of 24, 25 in 1995. And so, I started my first deal. I'm from Vermont. I grew up in poverty. It was myself, my two sisters, and my mother. And I remember I had to work and kind of help and just kind of do whatever we needed to do to kind of help survive and put food on the table. And what happened when I was at 15, I started going worked at McDonald's. And on top of it, I had a severe case of ADHD. So I couldn't sit still in class, but when I got into the McDonald's world, I excelled because I could multitask. I didn't realize how, ADHD could actually excel me and help me. So I really kind of took off like a rocket in the corporate world for a little bit. So I got sucked into that world for several years, and then I just decided, McDonald's is great. I learned a lot, but I can't make any money. you know. So I figured out I had to if I wanted to make money and to be able to pay my bills and take care of myself. I discovered real estate, and that's why I got into doing real estate. I started out as a loan officer, end up then becoming our own mortgage brokered firm, and then we got a warehouse line. We became our own bank, and we got a warehouse line with Mellon Bank, and I ended up having 107 loan officers. A lot of my clients were other investors, and I just started surrounding myself with like-minded individuals, and that's where I learned and kind of grow. And started out with the old fix and flip model, where most people start out. Then I got into the buy and hold, and then over the time, I started. I didn't have enough capital, so I started learning how to do seller financing, and that's how I exploded. And ended up doing over 3,000 deals and over $500 million of real estate transactions, just mainly through a lot of the seller financing strategies. And I like it because you don't have to jump through hoops with the bank. I mean, how many times you go, I have a loan closing. We were supposed to close a loan, I don't know how long ago, quite frankly. And before we got on, I just looked at another email where, the buyer buying our property has got some judgments. So they got to get the judgment squared away where, as when you're doing seller financing, we don't care about so much about that, what their credit looks like, as long as we look at making sure they can pay the bills. And so it's all about negotiating, with the sellers, buyers, stay in the middle, creating that passive income. So that's really what it comes down to. And then you just learn all these different type of seller financing strategies over the years. It's pretty interesting. I had a gentleman on earlier today, and really nice guy, but he specializes in due on sales clause, where a lot of times loans are being called due. What a due on sales clause is, so it's a subject to transaction, and in a subject to transaction, what happens is you keep the mortgage in the seller's name, but you're transferring the deed over to the new owner, like if you're the new buyer. So what happens is back in 1980s, all loans used to be able to be assumable, but they took away that assume clause, and now they put what's called a due on sales clause. So the original borrower that takes the loan out, if they transfer that property out of the borrower's name and somebody else has it, they can actually trigger the loan called due. Well, what's happening is nowadays the loans are starting to be called due because people are not setting the loans up correctly, and it's getting a little reckless. So, but the subject to has been around for 30 to 40 years. It's always been there, but it was never designed for wholesaling. It was always designed for us investors. And we wanted to buy property subject to, keeping it so it's easy for us to qualify. But what was happening is they're doing due on sales clause. That's happening. And we're just talking. We did a podcast and we just talked about, hey, how to fix the due on sales clause if anything happens. So if you do a subject to and you do get a loan called due, don't worry about it. It's very simple and easy to kind of resolve that if it does get called. So, but try to set it up the right way from the beginning so you don't have to worry about it. And I would not recommend doing an assignment. Stay in the deal. You can make so much more money. Yeah, you're going to sign that deal for like what, $5,000, $10,000, and you can stay in that deal and make so much more. Close to $100,000 a deal easily, if not more. So, anyways, let's take some questions. Who's got some questions here? Let's get some questions going. So I can smell the food in the background here cooking, and it's just made me hungry. I've been what is it? Oh my God, I'm having a brain fart right now. Fasting. I've been fasting. So now it's making me a little hungry. I do a 16-hour fast. So my last meal is at 8 p.m. and my next meal is not until noon the next day. But I can do black coffee in the morning.
There you go. So you gotta wait until you can eat some.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, guys. So this is a time for you to ask your questions, right? Mark has the experience. He's here to bring the knowledge for you. We just want to help you guys out in every step possible. Wherever you are in your situation, whether you are a beginner or whether you are experienced or you have just a couple of real estate deals and you're tired of putting 20% down, Mark's here to help you. We're here to help you learn about seller financing, creative financing. We're here to help you. So, guys, this is your time. Unmute yourself. Drop questions in the chat over on Facebook. Feel free to hop over here on Zoom. You see Mark posted the link there. So, do we have any questions?
So am I still freezing? I just saw Sarah's message. She said, I'm the one that's freezing, not you.
No, I think you're good now.
Okay, good. Time to upgrade. So
Yeah,
yes, good.
good
Thank
now.
you. How you doing, Sarah? Thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate it. So getting
Peyton, did
everything
you?
set in.
I think he's on the phone call. Okay, making sure he just wasn't talking. All right. So, Mark, when it comes to like a due on sales clause. Oh, well, here we go. Jasmine, I'd like to know, how are you funding your repairs if it needs a lot of repairs up front?
Okay. You can do that several different ways. For me, I will sell it as is as a handyman special. So typically I'm looking for somebody that is handy that wants to take the property. Let me give you an example. Like we had a deal that needed $37,000 worth of repairs. Okay. And we didn't want to put the $37,000 in repairs. Okay. So, and if we did the repairs, typically we would tell our end buyer, like if we're wrapping it or selling as a lease option or agreement for deed, whatever you're looking for, hey, we're going to be looking for about $60,000 to $70,000 to put down on this property. However, it needs about $37,000 repairs if I had to do it and hire a general contractor and do all this stuff. But if you're handy and you can do the repairs yourself, then instead of us asking for 60, $70,000 down, we'll take $15,000 down instead. So that's kind of how I like to get around the repairs aspect of it. And then let them do the repairs themselves over time. Yes, you want to bring the price down a little bit. So what I typically do is one of the things that we look at and we're doing seller finance, we go off of the as is value. I know in the wholesaling world and the fix and flip, they go off of the ARV, after repair value. But because like this property needed repairs, we're doing the as is value. This is what the property is worth. So when I'm selling it, and if I'm doing like a 5-year, 7-year balloon, I'm adding roughly 10 to 12% over the as is value, because you want to allow that room for the end buyer if they're going to fix it up, what the ARV is going to be. But typically I'm selling it to somebody that's going to want to live in the property and they're handy and they want to fix the property up over time. That's typically how I handle that. Or if it's a good deal, you can always go out there and find a capital partner, and capital partners are they're easy to find. At first people are like, oh my God, how do I find a capital partner or whatever it is? Typically it starts with friends and family, local business owners, dry cleaning, restaurants, people that partner up with them and bring them into the deal. But for me, I try not to bring partners in. I like to use my end buyer's capital to kind of take that deal down. So yeah, so if you're wrapping it with a balloon, correct. Typically if I'm wrapping it with a balloon, let's say I have a 7-year balloon with the seller, I'm going to do 6 years with my buyer to make sure there's enough room in there for another year in between. If anything happens and they can't do it, then I have alternative. I can go get financing, have them try to refinance it. So that's typically what I do. But yeah, usually that's what I'll do is wrap it with a balloon, or I'll sell it as a lease option. But in this case, if you having a buyer put that much money into a property like this one, 37,000, you want to give them the deed, because you want to have them have equitable interest. Because if they defaulted on that and you go to evict through like a lease agreement type of situation, and you get in front of a judge and you had a buyer put like $30,000 into one of your properties and you're kicking them out, the buyer is going to just destroy you on that. So you want to make sure they have some equity. Now you may have to go through a little bit longer of a process removing them, but again, I always talk about this over and over. If you have a really good relationship with your sellers and buyers, because you got to think of this strategy when you're doing creative seller financing strategy. You have to understand it's like a marriage. you're in a contract, a commitment with the seller, the buyer. So you want to have good relationship. You want to have that good communication. So in my situation, if my buyer or my tenants ever have a problem trying to make their payments, they're reaching out to me and telling me ahead of time, hey, I'm having a problem with this, problem with that. They're reaching out to me ahead of time, so we're getting ahead of it, so we don't have that problem. But just work through the process. Typically, I'll work with my buyer and put them on a payment plan and work something out with them. But also, that's the other reason why I make sure when my buyer puts their capital down, I'm putting money in reserves, roughly 3 to 6 months, depending on the state, in reserves. So if anything does happen, I have that capital. I have a property up in New England. I'll tell you a situation real quick. I have this one property I've been holding for about 5 years. It's up in New England. And my buyer, I sold it in a wrap because it needed a new roof, and he's a roofer. Um, and he did put some money down. I don't remember exactly how much he put down, but he will go 3 months delinquent, right? He'll go 3 months delinquent, but then all of a sudden he'll pay the 3 months and 9 months in advance because he's a roofer and it's wintertime up north. So I know he'll end up paying it, but I could have a little problem. Now I'm cash flowing roughly about $1,500 on this property, but what I'll do is I will leave money sitting in that account to offset when I know he's going to be delinquent, because I need to make sure that I have money there. So I usually leave probably close to $20,000 sitting in that bank account just for that particular property, because just in case if something happens with this particular, and then I'll pull money out a little by little over time. But I'm cash flowing really well. I sold it on a really good spread on it. I kind of want him to refinance and pay me off, but it works, and I know he'll eventually pay me over time. So great question. Bring some more questions. I can't see any Facebook if there's any Facebook questions. Oh,
Nothing on Facebook yet. She did say, so gotcha. So do you do a wrap even with a balloon?
yes, yes, I will do a wrap with a balloon. Let's say if I
Uh-oh,
have a
can you hear
balloon
me?
with a seller,
Okay.
let's, yeah, like, yeah. So if I have a balloon with a seller and me with my seller, I have 7 years. I'm going to do a balloon with me and my buyer on a wrap at 6 years to give myself that little bit of spread to make sure if anything happens, I can resolve that instead of just coming down to the end. So yes, great questions. Great questions. Now, keep in mind, some states you have to check the regulations, like Texas. You can't do a lease option there. In Texas, and agreement for deed and land contracts, you can, but you have to be the owner, and it's a little bit of quirky. But yes, I will sell in a state of Texas. I don't do business in Texas, but if I did, I would sell that as a wrap. If it's another state, I'll typically sell it as a lease option. But if the seller is going to be putting more than 10% down, then I'll end up selling it like what's a land contract, agreement for deed, or installment sale, one of those. Because like I said before, if you have somebody put that much capital down or put that much work into your properties and you go ahead to evict, a judge will look at you like, hey, what are you doing here? You have this person put all this money into your property. So then you just go through like an eviction type of process. So great question. All right, cool. Let's get some more questions here. I like it. So Matt, you're going to ask a question
All
there.
right. Yep.
Oh,
So
we have
it looks
another
like
one question.
my internet's unstable, so just ahead.
Okay. We have another question if you want to read it. If not, I can jump
Yep.
in, take
If
care.
you're just starting out, first deal, what
Right.
what do
Yeah, he's
you
freezing.
what do you
All
think
right.
would be most important factors to consider?
Right. So if you're first starting out, I think that's great. I would probably start out, if you're getting into the seller financing space, I would start out what I call a sandwich lease option. Okay. That's kind of what I would probably start out as. Um, So a sandwich lease option is less risky than a subject to or seller financing, because what it is you're doing a rent to own or a lease option with the seller, okay, allowing you to sublet it to your tenant buyer, your end buyer, and you stay in the middle and create that arbitrage. You can get in with less capital. For me, I can get into one for $100. And I have a video I did I can break it down. But the bottom line is you lock it up with a seller, whatever the market rent is. let's say the market rent's $2,500, because I'm always looking for $500 spread. Let's say the market rent is $2,500. Well, what I'll do is I'll negotiate it and try to get it down to like 2,250, because I say I'm taking care of the maintenance and repairs. Okay. And then what I'll do is I will say I'm only going to put 2 months down. Well, sometimes I will do 3 months, but I'll try to negotiate 2 months down since I'm taking care of the maintenance repairs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you $100 now. And then when I take possession of the property, I'll give you a remaining balance at that time. Okay. So that's kind of how I would end up going through that process. And then the other reason why I like, oops, sorry about that. Bear with me here. We're just trying to get a couple more people are trying to join the room here. So I just want to make sure they're getting in correctly. Sorry about that. So, and then what I do is I go out and find my tenant buyer. And what I'll do is tell the seller, like, hey, you know what? Let's take your time, no rush. We can close 45, 60, 90 days, whatever it may be, no rush on that. But at least you know I'm committed. I'm going to take this. And here's a contract. Here's $100 to lock it up. When I take possession, I'll give you the remaining balance when I take possession of the property. Then what I do is I go out and find my tenant buyer. And so let's say the market rate is 20, like we said, 2,500, and I got them down to 2,250. Then I'm going to go out and go about 2,700, maybe 2,750 to my tenant buyer. So I'm going to cash flow $500 a month. And whatever the price is, let's say I'm buying that property for $250. I lock it up with the seller. I'm going to bump it up about 10%. So I may sell it for, let's say 289, 295, maybe even 299, depending on the market, how long it's going to be. Let's say if it's a 5 year, I may sell it for like 299. Okay. Um, so I'll end up doing that. And then they'll put first, last, and security and like probably 3% or 5% option fee. So they'll put down like $20,000, $30,000, and out of that $20,000, $30,000, I'm going to give the seller their money, and then I'm going to hold money in escrow or money in reserve. So if something happens, and then I will end up, and then I'll put some money into my pocket up front. So that's what I would recommend starting out. That's one of the factors. And then when you call sellers, you want to find properties that have been sitting on the market, the sellers are motivated, for sale by owners, or even rentals. Rentals are great because they've been trying to sell it and they can't sell it, so they have to go ahead and convert it to a rental to cover the mortgage payments. So I love rentals. So one of the questions you're going through the questions asking about the property, and one of the questions I love asking is, would you be willing to rent the property to us for a few years? Then we close on it. We'll take care of the maintenance and repairs. If they say yes, then I know they're going to be open to some type of creative seller financing strategy. So then that's kind of just opens the door up. But that's what I would recommend starting out, doing a similar lease option, or joining a program that you can come in, bring your deal in, and help structure it, and maybe partner up with people. There's capital partners in mentorship programs as well, and you can kind of make sure that your deal is being held correctly so you don't get yourself hurt. But just get out there, start making some phone calls, calling sellers, practice talking to sellers, because remember, the reason why somebody's going to do a seller financing deal with you is because they like you. Think about it. It's a marriage, it's a commitment. So again, think of it like going on a date the first time with your significant other. You're getting to know each other. They're interviewing you to make sure you're going to do what you're saying, and you're interviewing them to make sure they're not a crazy seller. Okay. So, all right. Matt, do you want to read that next question, or do you want me to just kind of just jump into it?
I got it. Mark, do you use business credit? And if so, how does that work?
Yes, you can use business credit. Absolutely. That could help you if you're depending on if it's a home run deal and you need to give the seller a little bit more money, you can kind of do that, or you can use that as your repair cost. That's another way of kind of going about that. What is this in there? Somebody just popped something in there. I don't know what that is. All right, let me kind of boom. So sorry about that. Yeah, yeah, you can use some business credit. I don't know what that was, but usually if somebody's posting links in there and stuff, it's going to kind of get flagged. So I don't know what that was. So if you want to do something like that, just reach out to us ahead of time and we can talk about that. But yes, business credits, I do use some business credit. And if you need to get hooked up with that, we have some programs that we can get you hit. We know some people in the industry that we can help you out get hooked up with some business credit. It's good to do those type of things. You can, like right now, I like doing, you can do like a hybrid of like, fixing a property up, use that, and then turn around and selling it through seller financing. You can do like a 70% first and then like a 15-20% seller second and sell the first off into the secondary market and then get that capital, bring it in and go on to your next deal, and then also create that passive income because you created a second, so you get that monthly passive. For me, I like the passive income. I love passive income. So if I need to take some time off and I want to go do something, I know I have passive income coming in. So that's kind of the reason why I like that. All right. Great question, by the way. So, all right. Bring some more questions. If you guys got any more questions, I can't tell if there's any questions on Facebook, but if you have anything over on Facebook, you have a question, just go ahead and pop it. But
Okay.
I love seller financing. That's the big thing. All right. Can you explain a second lien position, a 70-30? I can't really recall. Okay. You can also do a 60, so what that means is, let's say you're doing a mortgage, okay? You could do a 60-20, 70-30. Like a 70-30 means, all right, so you're starting at 100%, all right, and you're going to have your seller put roughly 10% down, okay? So then you could do more like a 70-20 type of situation. So the seller's putting 10% down. If you can get more, that's great. And then you have the finance amount. So you break it up, you do a first mortgage at like 70% loan to value. And then you as the investor would hold 20% seller second. And then you can sell that mortgage off into the secondary market, sell that for 70%, and then get the capital and go and buy another one. And then you're holding your second mortgage for yourself. So you're generating passive income, mailbox money, if you will. You're getting some passive income coming in. That's just another way of kind of structuring it. A lot of experienced investors that have been doing this a while, they tend to do that because they don't have to worry about the whole due on sales clause and the subject to. It's just another type of seller financing strategy. They go out there, they buy a property, they fix it up, and then they turn around and sell seller financing because they're selling it because they're buying it at a discount. Okay, they're fixing it up as you make the fix and flip money, right? Instead of just selling it off and then getting it that way, then they're selling it on seller financing because they can sell it for a little bit more of a premium, like I said, 10, 15, or 10, 12% over, create a note, two mortgages instead of just one mortgage, sell that first mortgage off because they're getting the capital back, then they're creating a passive income, and then the money that they sold off, they're going and buying another house. You rinse and repeat. So that's another type of seller financing strategy. So in this market, I'm actually been focusing on that myself, where I'm finding properties been sitting on the market, need some work. I'm going in and offering like 30 to 40% less of the ARV and just putting it out there. And then we'll go in there with a contractor, fix it up, and then we turn around and sell it through seller financing. They put roughly 10-20% down, whatever they can possible, then go ahead and just create two different mortgages, one mortgage for the first position, a large one, sell that off into the secondary market, and then go ahead and hold the other one. So, all right, how do you convince a seller taking a second lien position what you're saying approach? That's for me. I'm usually, in this case, the seller's completely out of it. I'm buying it at a discount in that particular case. That's why that particular strategy, they're getting cash, you're coming in, buying it, doing a rehab. Like you can get your capital partners, do a fix and flip loan or whatever, and then sell it off that way. So that's that one. Usually, this particular strategy, the seller's just kind of out of the deal because the second lien is for me. I'm making that money for my passive income. So it's a little different. It's still, you're buying it as an investor, but you're selling it through seller financing and you're making money on the fix and flip aspect of it. And then you're generating passive income. That's just, again, when you're doing these type of creative seller financing deals, there's so many different seller financing strategies. So the way I look at it is think of a tool belt. Depending on what the seller's needs are, that will determine on what tool I'm going to use. Am I going to do a subject to? Am I going to do a sandwich lease option? Am I going to go in there and pay cash and get a deeper discount? Am I going to do an agreement for deed or land contract? Like a subject to, I would never pitch a subject to a seller that's not financially stressed or in default. They're going to look at you, hey, Mr. Seller, keep the mortgage in your name and transfer the deed over to me. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and probably do an agreement for deed or land contract, a contract for deed, something on those natures. It's the same thing, just the deed doesn't get transferred, it stays in the seller's name, and you can control it. The deed sometimes can sit in escrow, get assigned. There's several different ways of going about it. And then, so that's ways of going about it. So What you're talking about, convincing the sellers a second, that's you can do as a hybrid. And I don't know if you've seen that, where there's a mortgage in the first place, and then there's equity that you're paying them. You're paying them installment sales in the second lien position, but typically it's a wrap, and they're getting a payment. So you're just telling them, hey, I'm paying you equity over time, and you can give them an interest rate and give them an amortization schedule, show them how much more money they're going to make becoming the bank. I had one where they were open to doing a creative seller financing deal, but they wanted it at a 3-year balloon, and I didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I gave them an amortization schedule, sent it to them, went over it with them on the phone. I said, go down the line 120. 120, how much money would you collect it? So 120 is 10 years. How much money would you collect? I don't remember. They said like 84, 89,000. And then I said, all right, at that time, there's a balloon. How much was your balance paid off? They said this amount. They're making an extra $149,000 becoming the bank over 10 years. Because they saw that, they decided to go with the 10-year instead of a 3-year balloon on that one, because they like, okay, I can diversify. So that's one way of going about it. But again, convincing a seller, you don't really convince sellers on doing this strategy. It's understanding why they're selling and what are they planning on doing with the capital. Because if you understand that and you can resolve the seller's problems, that's how you can get into these deals really cheap and really low, because and it's a relationship. Do they need the capital? Why do they need the capital? You know, I talk about this one every week. Like I had this guy needed $25,000 for a camper. I knew what the problem was. I built a rapport with him. I convinced him, you know, he wanted $30,000 down. I convinced him to instead, I give him $3,500 down. This is a long story. If you want, you can go back and watch some other videos. I explain it, but the long story was he wanted $30,000 down, and I convinced him and I talked him into it and about building a relationship, and I got to know him and he got to know me. I gave him $3,500 down instead of the 30,000, and he went to his credit union and took the loan out for the camper for the $25,000, and I go ahead and pay the camper directly on his behalf. Comes right out of our bank account straight to the credit union, and we're cash flowing $475 a month on that deal because he felt comfortable with me. I knew he needed money for a camper. I helped him out, so I understood what his problem was. But I went deep in detail. I got to know everything about him and his whole life, his credit, his wife. His wife passed away, his football team, everything. So it's all about building a relationship. Okay, great questions. Glad you like the amortization schedule. Yes, I do that. I, there's 3 different type of buyers. Are they a head person? Are they a heart person? Are they a gut person? So the head persons I love. I love tired landlords because they get the numbers, they're all about the numbers, and they're not so greedy. I love people that have rentals that have owned it for like 12, 15 years plus. They're tired, they want it, and they like that passive income. Love those. And they're just direct. I can show them the amortization schedule, they know the money, and they're not so greedy because they want to make sure there's enough meat left on the bone for the next person because they went through it. People that have owned investors have owned a property for 5 years or less. Typically, there's no meat left on the bone. They're being really greedy, and it's hard to be able to make deals work. But I like the people that have owned a property for 12, 15 years plus. Those are great ones. Especially if they like 2 duplexes, triplexes. I mean, I purchased 13 units with 0 down, and cash flowed $4,500 out of the gate on that one. And the seller was completely happy because it was mailbox money and they didn't have to deal with the headaches anymore. So again, why is the seller selling and what are they planning on doing the capital? If you understand those 2 things, then that's how, and then I always look at my risk and what's my exit strategy. So when I'm looking at a deal and we're analyzing it in our weekly, we have several weekly coaching calls, but we do a deal analysis. And that's one of the things, why they're selling, what they're planning on doing, what's our exit strategy and our risk. I always look at those factors. But for me, I always like to negotiate really low down payment, get into deal with very little money, and go out and use my end buyer's capital to take the deal down and stay in the middle and create the arbitrage. That's my strategy. Now I'm using my own money to take the deal down, but I'm immediately getting it back from my seller. But if you do it the correct way, you can also use your seller's capital, but you should have a little bit of capital in reserve. So if anything happens and the deal goes bad, and if you do have a deal go bad, make sure you reach out to an experienced investor because sometimes they'll buy that deal from you. If you do like a creative seller financing and you got yourself into a little bit of a situation. Okay. Let's see. Any more questions? Bring some more questions. These are great. Matt, do you have any questions? I don't know if you're having some issues over there.
I'm going back and forth with internet. It's
It's all good.
We'll see how it goes. Um, no, so my biggest thing is like, so you're talking about, oh man, when a property gets called due, right? The loan gets called due. What is the steps to avoid that?
What is the steps? Well, it's hard because so lenders were always aware of a subject to. They didn't care as long as they're getting the payments in the past. I mean, it's been around for 30, 40 years. However, the last year and a half to 2 years, um, a certain community has really made it an issue because subject twos were never designed to do assignments slash wholesaling. It was always designed for us to stay in a deal, buy the deal. But what's happening is these people are locking deals up. They're doing assignments, making $5,000 or $10,000, walking away, not qualifying and making sure that end buyer can pay that mortgage, the seller's mortgage. They're just looking for that assignment fee, and then they're putting the seller into a bad situation, and they're seeing a high default rate happen right now. So now some lenders are starting to look into it and starting to call loans due on that. So that's kind of what's been happening in that particular thing. Okay. So the biggest things are insurance. Make sure that the insurance is set up correctly. The second big thing also is what I like to do is I like to put the properties into a trust. So it helps camouflages a little bit so you don't really know who the owner is, but it won't stop the loan being called due if they really poke around. Because a lot of times what people are doing is they're buying it and putting it in an LLC, and that's where the lenders are seeing it. Oh, okay, we see what's going on here. And then they're going to call the loan due. If it does get called due, it's easy to it's easy to fix. It's not too hard. Um, but just always get ahead of it and make sure that the notices are always being sent to you on that. So, okay. So did I answer your question, Matt? It's just make sure you really need an expert to kind of walk you through it. It's subject twos are an advanced strategy, so make sure that if you've never done one, that somebody's holding your hand through the first one. Because like my first one, my first 3 to 5 deals, I had somebody walk my hand through the whole entire process, really on all these strategies. But just make sure that you have a really good understanding. I can't tell you how many times people call me up and they're asking me questions, and hey, I'm like, hey, why don't you come into my mentorship and I can kind of help you out. And they try doing it on their own, and next thing you know, their loan's getting called due and they got to come up with $200,000 to kind of pay off that loan, where my mentorship is just minimum compared to everybody else's. But anyways, we have another question. How are you finding commercial flex based deals in this particular market? I'm really not focused on that particular asset class at the moment. um I agree with you. I would probably just connect with realtors. That's probably the best bet that specializes in that area. For me, I have looked at flex basis commercials. I have done them, but in this particular market, I'm not focused on it currently. Um, right now, I'm more focused on helping people here, talking more about residential because it's easier to learn. But in the commercial aspect of it, I would just kind of work find a good broker and connect to them, or just start from the ground up and do a development project. I mean, you'll probably come out ahead a little bit better going from ground development up, and it's depending on the market you're in, you can probably throw those up pretty quickly. I mean, they're doing really well. I have a buddy that's doing one of those up in Canada, and he's doing extremely well. I was actually just looking at one not too long ago, but in that particular market, flex spaces and the warehouses and then the retail centers in a sense are not doing well in the market. So that's kind of why I passed on that particular one. But and yeah, I was going to develop it. I was going to put a hotel there. I was going to do some flex space, and I was going to put some multifamily in there. But decided not to pull the trigger on that particular one because the water and sewer, just to get water and sewer to this facility, is going to be $2 million, and the numbers just didn't make sense. So, anyways, that's kind of what I would recommend is just reach out to brokers and just kind of put your feelers out there, or look at finding a civil engineer and help you develop one up from the ground up. So, cool. Any other questions?
Awesome. Real quick. So Mark's experience, he's got all this experience, so he wants to share it with others. He has created a program. It's a group coaching right now. We're getting ready to convert it into a course and coaching to where there's just a little bit of everything. And Mark has an awesome membership that there's people crushing it. I mean, there's people doing deals together. Mark, can you give me an example of one of your students?
I would say Kyle. I mean, actually, Mary Lou today, she closed on her first 84 bed adult living facility. Mary Lou, I'm
84
gonna get her
bed.
on. Yeah, 84 beds adult living facility in Kentucky. So, and she lives in Hawaii. So she's been working on that deal. I'm really, really happy for her. She was on earlier. I'm going to probably do a podcast. If you go to my page and go under testimonial, she's the one that's on a hiking there on the island. So she just closed on it last Friday and she was on today's mentorship. We do it. And I'm so, so happy for her. So yeah, Mary Lou, and she quit her job. She was the one that quit her job a few months back there. Remember, Matt, I was telling you about she quit her
Yeah,
job doing this full time because she started out, she did some residential, she did some lease options, sandwich lease options. She did her first deal was doing a sandwich lease option for her daughter. She wanted to help her daughter out, and they did a deal like that. So that's kind of what so she did really well. And that her storage facility, the adult living facility, it was a seller financing component tied to it as well. So
that's
I'm so
amazing.
happy for her. Yep.
That's
But then
amazing.
I would say, yep, Kyle just turned 30. He's has been in, he hasn't been into it yet for 2 years, and his goal is to hit 30 doors and is already at 28 doors. So, yep,
You can't beat it. Can't beat it. So,
yep.
guys, if you guys want to be one of those people that are just crushing it, schedule a call with us. There is no sales to it. It's just a call to see if it's a good fit for you. I'm posting the link there. You'll speak with either Reese or Alex. They'll help you see what's good. Well, what if you're a good fit for the program and if the program's a good fit for you. We just don't want to take your money and let you do nothing. We want you to actually take action. Um, so guys, just schedule a call and we'll get you rocking.
So I just noticed that we do have some questions over on Facebook. It finally
Oh,
all populated.
I also, yeah, they're not showing on my side.
All
So
right, so we have a few questions. We actually have quite a few questions here. Let me just kind of go through.
here,
We'll start
let's hit
with,
Peyton real quick.
okay, go ahead.
Peyton, are you able to unmute yourself and talk?
Yes, I can.
All right. Go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, so Mark, I'm pretty new to seller financing. Actually, talking about it on a high level was the Uber, that we shared back in Cincinnati.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
what would you suggest that I maybe start to focus on a little bit just to help accelerate the learning curve of it all? I mean, I don't even know what I'm getting into just yet.
Cool, cool. So yeah, thank you for picking up that Uber, by the way. I really appreciate it. So what did you think, what did you take on that Uber ride? What did you really get out of it?
There was a lot of really good information, especially the story of the guy who needed the travel trailer and just be able to make that happen for him. I mean, it almost sounds like a custom financing where you can make almost anything happen if you really wanted to.
100%. And that's really what it comes down to, is just understanding the seller's needs and how to come up with a solution for them. And the more deals you end up doing, the more creative, and you can come up with ideas on your own. And, there's times where in our group, when we're analyzing a deal, I'm thinking something else, and one of the members may say something, and it's an amazing idea what they come up with. So the more minds you kind of put together, the easier it is to kind of come up with some solutions. So back to your question. So let's go back to your question one more time. Is that where you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so what would you suggest that for someone who's brand new, right? What would you suggest that they focus on as they're learning the realm of seller financing?
I would say it's really understanding, because this is a lot of psychological, really what it comes down to. And if you understand the seller psychological aspect of it, the structure of the deals and the numbers and the different strategies, once you do three of them in each strategy and how to go through it, it's pretty easy. It just comes. But the hardest part is understanding what the seller is, why they're selling, and practice, because you want to go through, find out, like you talked about, understanding the camper. Like, if I didn't go through that exercise and really talk to him and really build a rapport and get to know him, and I want him to get to know me, I would never have known that. And that particular guy had 12 or 15 other offers from other investors, and he turned every single one down because they didn't know what he needed and what his issue was. They didn't know that he needed money for a camper. I built that rapport. I understood what he needed. And then I figured out, and then you got to run through your numbers, make sure. So I knew what his issue was, and I came up with a solution for him. And it worked out well for him instead of everybody beating him up on the down payment, which that particular case, he only wanted to, it didn't make sense putting $30,000 down on that home because he only wanted 128. So we came up with that idea. So I would say you want to practice, get on the phone. I always tell people, jump on Zillow for sale by owners and just go through and start having conversations with sellers and build a rapport. Ask questions. What, tell me a little bit about the property. Tell me a little about the neighborhood. If they start talking about the neighbors, ask questions. Oh, how's your neighbors? Build that rapport. Keep asking questions. Pull that information out and keep building rapport. And 80% of my phone calls, not even going over the deal, is just like talking, like, hey, where's your football? Like this or that, or what do you like to do? Travel. What kind of, do they have children? Do they have grandchildren? Where do they, do they talk about where that Christmas tree is? If they do, then they're a heart person. If they don't, stay away from it and then just stick with the numbers on that type of situation. So I would say get out there. There's three things I always like. It sounds like a great property. Why are you selling? Okay. Oh, it sounds like a beautiful property. Why would you want to sell? Okay. Then I would also say something on the lines of, would you be willing to rent the property to us for a few years and we close on it? And then the last one I would like saying is, if you can't sell the property, what are you going to do? I guess I'm going to rent it. Ding, ding, ding. Or reach out to me. You don't have to pay for a property manager. So that's kind of where I would start from there. And then when you start understanding that, and understand the psychological and how to sell it, and then start looking at it and okay, how can I solve the seller's problem? What they need the capital for? That's kind of where I would. It's a great question.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay. All right. Cool. Matt, I'm going to jump over to Facebook and read a couple questions over here. Thank you. Eddie's saying, whoops, something popped up here. How to find owners? Wait, how do you find owners that are open? Okay, like I said, we just talked about Zillow to practice, but for me, I built up bird dogs, over 600 bird dogs. Peyton, do you know what a bird dog is?
Yes, yeah, we spoke about it. It's like your kind of eyes out in the field, right? Your mailman or your trash guy, stuff like that.
Exactly. Yep. So I built up over 600 mailmen, like you said, trash guys, landscapers, snowplow removals, pest control. The list goes on and on. I get my home run deals from hospice nurses. So that's one way. Realtors are another great way. Just remember, you got to pay them. I like rental realtors because they're used to 1 month's commission, and I'll have them show the properties and kind of, so they usually get 1 month's rent. I like those as well. Let's see, believe it or not, I like bandit signs. Bandit signs always work great for me. If I'm putting 100 bandit signs out, I always get a deal or two. Some might be cash deals, but some may be seller financing. Just be careful of your municipality because some municipalities have an issue with you putting bandit signs up. So just be cautious and educate yourself a little bit about that. Jumping into Facebook groups that are not real estate related. Hey, I'm looking for a property. I need some TLC. Just get out there and start networking. Going down that path. Okay. All right, Rob's got a question. Would you consider the resources in Killington to be found in the new hard design in the future veterans control housing pad split hotel? Yes, it's Rob. You must be from Vermont, so that's where Killington is. I actually been looked at some properties there. All right, would you consider a gap flow over time due to dill? Perhaps could you be open to thoughts in the next generation? All right, so Rob, would you consider the resources in Killington to be found in new hand design veterans? Yeah, I mean, that whole area is getting ready to develop because they're putting $10 billion into that community and they need workforce housing. So in pad split, yes. Hotels, you do have a lot of opportunity there, Rob. You just got to figure out what model and what works. Um, One of the things though in Vermont is just the regulations. So you want to try to keep it easy so you don't have to go through a lot of the regulations and jump through a lot of hoops. Yeah, pad split. I don't think pad split is in Vermont yet, but you could still copy that same model and do it on your own. So pad split is, just so you guys know, is you can go check it out on the website. They have an app and they will help fill it, and they'll help fill it for you. It's pretty cool, but some markets they're not in, like in Vermont. I'm sure they're not there yet, but what you do is you're renting out a bedroom per week, depending on the area. Like say it's $500 a week or 50, $300 a week, whatever it is. And they're also taking the living room and cutting the living room up into one or two more bedrooms, so you can get like 5, 7 bedrooms out of it, and they're renting it out. It's mainly more for the workforce housing, and usually like a C class or B minus neighborhood. Usually the A neighborhoods they won't allow it, but keep in mind one of the things in Vermont you're probably fine with it because it's pretty open. You don't have a lot of HOAs and stuff up there that are harsh on it. But in some of the cities, they have to regulate how many cars are going to be sitting in the driveway. Like if you have a 7 bedroom home, you don't want 7 cars out there. So just make sure that some people are on public transportation. But in Vermont, you'll probably be fine long as your driveway is big enough for that. So, anyways, great question. And we put the book of strategy, but that's a great question. Hopefully that answered your question there, Rob. If you have any more, just pop it back in there. Okay. Um, thank you. Oh, Sarah, thank you so much about my book. Yeah, you can grab that on Amazon if you want. If you want the audio version, you can buy that through the website. If you want the audio version, go to sellerfinancingstrategies.com and go if you want the audio. But if you want to get the hard copy, you can get that through Amazon. Okay, cool. Let's see what else. Any more Peyton, do you have any more questions? Did that help you?
Yes, yeah, that helped me. And as of right now, I don't have any more questions.
Cool. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you jumped on here. I enjoyed that conversation with you. So yeah, I went from there. I went out to Lake Tahoe. I was out there for a while. So, after I saw you, I was supposed to go in, I think in Reno, and my wife, her flight got canceled. So I was supposed to be there. So we ended up in Sacramento. I hung out in Sacramento, went to Lake Tahoe, did some beautiful weather, and looked and shopped around at a few homes out there. So we're looking to buy a place out there, spend the summer, then in the wintertime, Airbnb it or short-term rental for the ski season. So we're kind of looking at that. And so I came back, and now this week, Thursday, I leave for Greece. Looking forward to that. That's why I love this business. You can work remotely, you know.
Or Reese.
Greece. So I don't know if I'm going to be on next Monday, Matt. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't know what the layout's going to be over there yet. So I do apologize for people if I'm not here next
Okay.
Monday, and you'll probably have an understanding. Think, who
I
am I
think we
cutting
can
out?
understand that.
Cool.
No, it's me.
I think it's all of us today. So Matt, what do you like at this YouTube
So,
stuff that you're doing at what's that? Am I losing you again?
oh, I'm back of. It's really bad for me. I can here. Let me do this. This might work
It's
better.
okay. No, don't worry about it. We only got 5
Let's
minutes
do
left. Don't
this.
worry about it. So I can keep going, and we're going to be shutting down here in a few
I
minutes.
know,
So,
but I know.
oh, you're doing your phone, huh? I know. Sometimes hotels are a pain and sometimes they're good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
that's what I'm saying.
working.
It's all good. Don't worry about it. It's all good. So, anyways, this was good. A lot of great questions. Like Matt posted a link there that he talked about. If anybody wants to know a little bit more about the mentorship program, it's extremely reasonable, and we meet several times a week. I do 2 of them. We have a deal analysis and we do accountability calls. But the bottom line is just get out there, pick up the phone, start making calls, and just go for it. So I'm glad it. Yeah, thank you for Peyton on that. Let's see here. Oh, you just popped it in there again, Matt. So cool. So yeah, very good. It went really well, and I'm happy everybody joined here tonight. So if anybody has any more questions, I will be back. I don't know next Monday. Whoops, somebody's coming in the last second here. So whoever's joining us, thank you for joining. Um, this will be replayed. So if you guys want to watch it, because I saw somebody just join a second ago, and we're going to be getting off here in about 3 minutes. But if you want to watch this replay, it's posted in the Seller Financing Homes group. And if you go into featured, you can see the videos from there as well to replay on it. But it was a really good topic tonight, and I'm glad you guys stepped in. And we do this every Monday at 7:30 Eastern Standard. However, next Monday may not be here. Probably 90% sure I won't be here because I'm going to be in Greece. But the following Mondays, definitely come in, jump in, bring your questions. And if you want to learn more about the mentorship program, just go ahead and book a call. Your call would be probably with Matt. I'm sorry, would be Reese or Alex. And then eventually, if it's a good fit, then Matt will probably be taking the next call to see if you're a good fit for the program. So, but it was good, Matt. I really appreciate it. And if anybody doesn't have any more questions, I can smell my dinner out
Of course.
there. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. Have a great night, everybody. Be well. Take care. Matt, I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.